Who are the people we need to kick out of society? Let's find out, starting with number 6, 158 years. Stephen Matthews, a former cardiologist, faced a Denver court after being convicted of putting numerous women he met through dating apps under the influence and taking advantage of them. Over 4 years, Matthews lured at least 11 women into a nightmare disguised as a first date, targeting them with his carefully crafted online persona. The jury found him guilty on nearly all charges, resulting in a 158-year sentence. Matthews' method was chillingly similar each time. He presented himself as a friendly, adventurous doctor, complete with photos featuring his dog and outdoor hobbies. After meeting at public locations, he invited women back to his place under the pretext of checking on his pet. And the guy was a doctor, which most people trust automatically, so heading back to his place wouldn't really raise any red flags. But once there, he would prepare drinks for his guests without asking, slipping something extra into them to induce unconsciousness. One woman, known only as Allie, shared her experience of a date in early 2023. Initially excited to meet someone she thought she could connect with, Allie noticed things went wrong quickly after having the drink Matthews made her. Her memory blurred and she struggled to stay conscious. From there, Matthews' actions got even worse. She later recalled him videoing her as she desperately tried to escape. Only after forcing herself into an Uber did she manage to get away, leaving behind her belongings. Similar stories from other women revealed a disturbing pattern. One remembered nothing after her drink, only waking up in her home with bruises and no recollection of how she got there. Another woke up handcuffed to Matthews' couch, barely able to move. When one woman tried to refuse a second date, Matthews sent her compromising photos he had taken while she was unconscious. Each story unveiled his calculated control and manipulation, exploiting his medical background to establish trust before turning malevolent. During sentencing, Matthews appeared visibly emotional, which is sickening in its own right, though the judge emphasized the extensive harm his actions inflicted. Survivors spoke of how this ordeal reshaped their lives, noting persistent anxiety and a loss of trust in others. For Allie and the other survivors, his conviction offered a measure of validation. The Denver district attorney thanked these women, acknowledging their courage in bringing Matthews to justice. Ultimately, Matthews' 158-year sentence brings an end to his treachery, especially after the grave misuse of the trust he gained from his victims. The scary thing is that, for whatever reason, we all pretty much automatically trust doctors, right? We always just assume that because someone has supposedly dedicated their lives to helping people, that somehow precludes them from the evils of human nature. It's sad that we now live in a world where really, at the end of the day, we can't trust anyone. It's true that anyone who violates that sort of trust needs to be kicked out of society. Number 5. Ill from the beginning. Jack Watkin, once a bratty, self-proclaimed rich kid of Instagram, was known for flaunting his extravagant lifestyle. A few years back, he grabbed attention by boasting about his family's wealth, likening them to a British version of the Kardashians. He claimed access to luxury cars like Rolls-Royces and Bentleys, a private jet, and even a spot on a reality TV show, creating an online persona filled with flashy possessions and limitless resources. Now, his most recent legal troubles have brought him back into the spotlight, and not for his high-end lifestyle. Watkin was initially arrested on serious charges, including 9 counts of fraud by false representation and possession of prohibited images, with accusations of creating indecent content involving minors, which is just horrific. After breaching his bail conditions by reportedly traveling outside permitted areas, Watkin was arrested at Macclesfield train station. He has since been remanded into custody and is awaiting a court hearing where his charges will be addressed further. Years ago, Watkin brushed off criticisms, saying he felt blessed to live without financial concerns thanks to his father's hard work. But this latest turn of events paints a vastly different picture of the rich kid who once claimed unlimited funds and access to life's luxuries. We covered this kid before, and even back then, we knew there were problems. In our opinion, there are a few things more obnoxious than entitled brats that come from inherited wealth. Typically, we tolerate them, but this kid is the worst of the worst and needs to be put far away from everyone else for a long time. Number 4, the fake bump. Jaclyn McGowan from Scotland earned herself 150 hours of community service after she faked a pregnancy to mislead her Tinder date and his family. And why in the world would she do this? She was apparently furious after Jamie Aitken, a man she met online, broke things off following a one-night stand. But what started as anger quickly spiraled into an elaborate 9-month revenge plot. It all began when McGowan told Aitken she was pregnant, backed up by a positive test. A week later, she experienced a miscarriage, but kept this to herself. Instead, she decided to continue her creepy game, telling Aitken and his family that she was still expecting his child. To make the story more believable, McGowan went as far as to buy a prosthetic baby bump, then showed up at Aitken's brother's workplace looking visibly pregnant. She even called the facility beforehand to confirm it was suitable for a pregnant woman, ensuring her disguise fit her story. But McGowan, who was serious about her deception, went to extremes, inventing ultrasound appointments, choosing baby names, and even giving due dates. She managed to pull Aitken's family into fabricated narratives, creating tension and pity within the family. Aitken's parents, initially skeptical, started looking forward to a grandchild. McGowan even manipulated their emotions by suggesting that Aitken was unsupportive and distant, fueling their sympathy and anger toward him. The ruse continued, with McGowan texting Aitken's family and claiming her baby's name would be Noah. However, suspicion started to grow when she was seen looking notably slim at the 8-month mark. Finally, when her supposed due date passed without a baby, the whole scheme unraveled. Aitken reported her to the police, and McGowan eventually confessed. In court, her actions were categorized as less severe, yet impactful enough to warrant her community service sentence. While the court noted her efforts to hurt Aitken emotionally, her elaborate deception left a lasting effect on everyone involved, which makes us think her punishment should have been significantly more severe. But maybe we're just indignant like that. If McGowan was mad enough at this guy for whatever reason, the satisfaction from the turmoil and damage she caused likely far outweighed 150 hours of community service. The dumb thing was that it wasn't like she roped this poor guy into a relationship. It sounds like she was just out to mess with him and his life because he didn't want to be with her because she couldn't handle rejection. And maybe it's just our old-fashioned opinion, but really, if she was looking for a relationship, she probably shouldn't have started it off with a one-night stand. Number 3, dumped feelings. Jenny Keats-Rawling, a 30-year-old from the UK, faced the courts after an elaborate revenge campaign aimed at her ex-boyfriend, Jake Green. Keats-Rawling went to extreme lengths, falsely claiming she was pregnant with child and even trying to paint him as a dangerous person. And this wasn't a minor incident either. It escalated to the point where Keats-Rawling messaged the police, claiming Jake was hearing voices and wanting to harm people, sparking a serious police response. But when officers arrived, they realized her report was all a hoax. And that was just the start. After Jake ended their relationship, Keats-Rawling made over 100 silent calls to him, sometimes late at night, keeping him on edge. She didn't stop there. She reached out to his family on social media and sent unsettling messages to his new girlfriend, warning her to watch her back. Her actions led to major disruptions in Jake's life, costing him 2 jobs and even forcing him to change his living situation. Despite repeatedly being warned by police, Keats-Rawling continued her harassment campaign. She went so far as to impersonate a police officer to get in touch with Jake. At one point, she reported him to authorities again, claiming he was a threat, only for them to find nothing supporting her claims. In court, Keats Rawling pleaded guilty to stalking and causing serious alarm. While Keats Rawling's lawyer pointed to her struggles with autism and other conditions, the judge made it clear that her actions had caused significant distress. Though she faced up to 18 months in prison, the judge ultimately decided on an 18-month community order, including a rehabilitation program. She was fined and ordered to avoid any contact with Jake and his family, with a restraining order now in place. It makes us wonder if she's even going to abide by the order, because from everything else she's done, it doesn't sound like it. And again, considering the level of harassment and undeserved disruption to this guy's entire life that this lady brought, and she just gets community service? That doesn't seem right. What do you think, though? Have you ever dealt with this level of harassment from an ex? Should her punishment have been more severe? Or are you more sympathetic to the brokenhearted and understand that sometimes other factors make people act in a way they normally wouldn't, and maybe they deserve a bit of compassion? Let us know in the comments below. Number 2, pocketing donations. In an update to a story we've previously covered, Michelle Fiore, the former Las Vegas councilwoman and Nevada state legislator, was found guilty of wire fraud after pocketing donations meant to honor fallen police officers. Yeah, she was stealing from fallen police officers. And instead of funding the memorial, Fiore redirected over $70,000 to pay for personal expenses, including her daughter's wedding, rent, and even plastic surgery. The story took a surprising turn as details of her spending came to light. Fiore's career has been marked by bold moves and controversy. Known for her outspoken support of firearm rights and high-profile appearances, she once garnered national attention for backing Cliven Bundy, a Nevada rancher known for leading armed standoffs over his refusal to pay federal grazing fees, sparking national debates on land rights. But this latest incident overshadowed her past stunts, as prosecutors argued that Fiore disgustingly exploited a community tragedy to cover her personal expenses. The funds were raised to build a statue commemorating Las Vegas police officers Alan Beck and Igor Soldo, who lost their lives in the line of duty. Fiore allegedly promised that all donations would go toward the statue, but court documents revealed that she diverted the money elsewhere. After her indictment, federal agents raided her Las Vegas home, a move her attorney criticized as sloppy. Despite her conviction on 6 counts of wire fraud and 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, Fiore remains free while awaiting sentencing. Her lawyer signaled plans to appeal, suggesting that the jury reached a swift decision based on specific trial testimony. Fiore's legal troubles haven't just impacted her career in Las Vegas. She was suspended without pay from her role as a justice of the peace in Pahrump, Nevada. As of the release of this video, she's scheduled for sentencing, with each count carrying a potential 20-year sentence. Seriously, what kind of person, a public figure who works closely with law enforcement no less, steals from donations to honor fallen police officers to fund personal expenses? Really, your daughter's wedding of all things? The mental gymnastics she was doing must have been very impressive, because that's crazy dirty. Number 1. Unapologetic welfare queen. Mary Buchan, a 42-year-old mother of 8, became widely known as Britain's welfare queen due to her public lifestyle funded largely through government benefits. Buchan, who received close to £500,000 in state support, sparked controversy by openly enjoying luxuries like cosmetic surgeries, including a breast augmentation and what she referred to as a designer procedure, which had to do with her hoo-ha, if you get our drift. She even purchased a horse, although she later admitted it was too costly to maintain. Living off the state, Buchan claimed, provided her with a level of comfort that allowed her to skip traditional employment. She tried to justify her choice to stay on benefits by claiming it let her focus on raising her children. But of course, her story, however, just pissed off everyone who heard it, especially after she admitted that her various surgeries were partly funded through income from car boot sales, which critics argued still originated from state funds. Car boot sales are a popular thing in the UK and are like big community yard sales where people sell items out of their car trunks, similar to flea markets. Buchan's spending habits weren't just limited to procedures either. Her benefits supported a range of expenses that allowed for an unusually comfortable lifestyle. Yet, despite her ability to spend on personal luxuries, she also faced challenges managing her finances, once even explaining that benefit cuts forced her to rely on food banks to feed her family. Buchan defended her lifestyle, saying that for her family, remaining on benefits was simply more practical. She admitted there was minimal incentive to work, given that state support provided a better financial situation than many jobs might. Although Buchan tried to re-enter the workforce, she said her reputation as an octomum, referencing Nadia Sulman, who was also criticized for using welfare to support her 14 kids, including 8 born through IVF while on assistance, made finding a job tough. Despite training for an NHS role, she had to drop out due to childcare issues. Buchan's story intersects with a broader political conversation in the UK, where officials, including Prime Minister Keir Starmer, have proposed stronger measures against benefits fraud to encourage people into work if capable. Whether or not you agree with public assistance programs, we can all agree that people who straight up, selfishly, and blatantly misuse them the way Buchan did are the worst. Misusing benefit programs like that only harms the other people they're actually intended for. And for that reason, people like Buchan deserve to be hit with some pretty harsh penalties. And it's dumb that she tried to claim that by not working, she was able to spend more time raising her kids like that was the goal. She spent the money in a very selfish way and then bragged about it, completely deflating any defense she had. Maybe she'd have more of a leg to stand on if she could show that she really was using the money to benefit her kids in a positive way, like using the money to help with their education or something. But instead, she really was just a massive leech that needed to be hit with some bug spray. Click to watch one of these next videos.